Balor and Ciampa and Lee.
Oh my!
This isn't the Wizard of Oz.
Though it does have a wizard in it. This is What's NXT.
Support, no DQ.
Welcome everybody to What's NXT for December 11th, 2019. I'm your host, the Rated R Reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General, Jerry Slaughter.
Good morning, wrestling fans.
Having a good morning.
Yep.
Trying to give a little bit of that positivity away.
Yes.
Through the medium of vlogging. We're talking about an episode that had a lot go down. We started the show with some shit going down.
Mm-hmm.
We started with a Cruiserweight Championship match, and surprise, motherfucking surprise, although it wasn't a surprise to me.
It got spoiled.
Yeah, it got spoiled. We don't watch it till 6 a.m. the next morning, like 12 hours later. Well, 10 hours later. Anyway. It got spoiled for me. But, this is where the spoilers happen, so spoiler for you. Angel Garza wins the Cruiserweight Championship off of Lio Rush in a spectacular match.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't use the word spectacular often. And I think it's a very specific kind of awesome.
Yeah.
In this case, I have like a third of a page. I write so small. Like, there was a lot for me personally that I want to talk about. But I want to hear your thoughts first.
Well, first off, I'm glad that Angel Garza has the belt. Lio Rush has been a pretty cool champion. But at the same time, Angel Garza's got more appeal to him, I think. And just more going for him at this point than Lio Rush. Lio Rush is kind of like a stepping stone. And the only real loser in this match was really Jordan Miles, who is the only breakout tournament star who's career suffering at this point.
I think Lio Rush is doing just fine. I think he didn't have the momentum going into the match where he won the title.
Yeah.
But after having beaten, who was it, Drew Gulak?
Mm-hmm.
For the Cruiserweight Championship, he has proved his worth as champion.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't stay champion forever. Everybody knows this. And this was great because Angel Garza is new to the team, to the NXT, but he's got so much potential. Why not do it now? Yep. Why not give him a title now? He's already had at least one opportunity that he failed.
Yep. And
this time he was able to just out-wrestle and then at the very end just figure out that one last-ditch move, that one thing that's going to clinch this match and get him the victory, and he got the fucking victory.
Because he seemingly wasn't going to pin him, and he wasn't going to knock him out, so he had to make him submit.
Nobody was going to be down for a 3 count in this match. It did not happen. This match ended with a submission, and what a fucking submission!
A reverse full Nelson?
Yeah, I'll get there. Okay, so my first favorite move of this match, this might have been my favorite move of the entire match, maybe the entire show. Garza sweeps Lio Rush's legs out from under him while he's on the apron, and it's not one of those where they kind of fall, and I'll smack my head on the apron, the hardest part of the ring, don't you know? No, he goes, pat, right on the fucking apron.
Lio Rush turned into a U shape. Okay, they could have used him for an episode of Sesame Street.
Yeah. So, let's see. Back in the ring, Rush misses a come-up, and Garza hits him with a basement drop kick. This is not the first attempt that he's going to make at a come-up. Eventually, I think he hits one, but that's way later on. Garza ties Rush up in the corner. Okay, so he rolls him, kind of a reverse of how, I can't remember what wrestler it is that does the power bomb and then rolls him up into the knee strike. I think it's Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle, yeah.
Kind of a reverse of that. He kind of wheelbarrows him legs first through the middle and top rope in the corner. I think that'll give you the right idea.
Yeah.
And then sets him up and wraps his arms around it and traps him there, and then just starts smacking him in the face until the ref does a 4 count, backs him off, and then he comes and just super kicks his face off.
It's almost like he's anticipating the referee to push him back.
gets a near fall off that super kick. Leo Rush does a Rana onto Garza over the top rope, and then hits a middle rope. So he runs at the ropes, jumps on him backwards onto the middle rope, and then dives backwards over the top rope with a backflip.
Yeah.
It's kind of the 180 reverse of what Grand Metalik does.
Yep. I was about to say, it was almost like a springboard Fosbury flop kind of thing going.
Yeah, but he springboarded from the inside.
Yeah.
And then, there you go, the Fosbury flop. Proper use of the term this time.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Hits that backflip plancha to the outside, and then Garza again counters the come up. This time with a come up of his own, hits it better than Leo Rush does. And this was after Leo Rush had to scramble to get in position for it because he just came off of trying to do that. He lands on his ass. Anyway, I think he gets a near fall off of that though. No pinfall here again. No pinfall at all in this match. Got a lot of near falls though. Rush counters an inverted suplex off of the rope spring, like he's got him in a, for all practical purposes, Scorpion Death Drop hold, and then picks him up, throws him off of the ropes, and then comes back, and then Rush counters that. How does he counter it? With a cross body, gets a near fall. Yeah, so it didn't end as cool as it's set up, but I put it because of the setup. Anyway, they get up off of that, and we see Leo Rush hit a black mass, and yeah, seriously, it was a black mass, and he does it just as good as fucking Aleister Black does. And Garcia falls back from that, Garza, whatever, falls back from that, and then hits a super kick. And now they both, I think, fall back off the ropes, and then go to reach out towards each other, and then just Ric Flair face plant both of them at the same time. That was great. The crowd was cheering.
If the crowd wasn't already on their feet at that point, everybody got up at that right then.
I was about to say, the crowd got onto their feet when both guys went down. This was great. They get back up. Rush hits a wing clipper, so he hits Garza's finishing move on him. Gets a near.
And that looked great.
And then he counters an electric chair attempt with a come up. So Garza has him in the electric chair position on his shoulders and throws him at the ropes like he's going to hang him over the top rope, but instead Leo does legs through the bottom and middle rope and hits him with that come up and actually nails it this time. Gets a near fall. Goes up top, hits the final hour, but as soon as he hits it, Garza crawls to the outside, and as he's crawling out over the apron to get out, that's when Leo grabs the tights and pulls off his pants. So we got the pants pull. That was the spot. Now this is where Rush fucks himself.
Yes.
He goes up top and goes to do the final hour off the top turnbuckle to the outside.
Does a whole prayer right at the beginning of it.
Yeah. What is it? Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch?
Yes.
Yeah, and then he jumps off and lands on Garza's knees. I think that is the preferable landing if you're coming off the top rope like that, because he's got a spring, you know?
Yeah.
You got that spring of the thighs of the opponent that's catching you. Holy shit. Yeah, he lands that not good. Gets thrown back in the ring, and this is where Garza picks him up and he hits him with a wing clipper, and you think, this is it. 1, 2, 3. No, sir. Leo Rush kicks the fuck out, sure enough. And then Garza scoops him up just right off of the pinfall attempt, because he's got that pinfall that's kind of like how you come out of a sit-out powerbomb.
Yeah.
Snatches him right back up, puts him back in the wing clipper, but this time he turns it into a submission and drops back. And about a second and a half after he dropped back, Leo Rush tapped. And that was it. We have a new champion.
I can't believe you skipped the top rope Spanish fly.
You know what? It's in my notes. Somewhere I lost it.
That was spectacular looking.
Only this time Garza's the one that hit it.
Yeah.
I think he got a near fall off of it.
He did, because I was saying, that's my favorite pin of the match, because Garza thinks he has him. He's pretty much frantically pinning him in a circle. He's trying to screw his mat shoulders into the mat at that point.
Now, he won the match, and he is officially the champion, and he's celebrating, and Leo Rush is in the corner like, fuck, how'd he do that, man?
Yeah.
So, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. Here in a few minutes, we're going to get an update on what happened during the commercial break after this match ended. But let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
Garza goes to celebrate, and it's like he has become this natural babyface. As much as they push him like a heel, the crowd likes to cheer for him because he's so suave at his like sexy Latino guy gimmick, kissing the ladies and letting them. And before this match, he let Grandma or whoever kiss him on the cheek, and she left big old lipstick lip prints on his cheek. It was great. And so he turns naturally face, and I think this is where Leo
He's got
Rush,
the whole Latin heartthrob thing going.
Leo Rush gets all pissed off because Garza was smart enough to make it personal, and especially before the title came on the line, because this match started out the gates. Like Leo Rush just went after Garza. The ref had to separate them to get the bell rung.
Mm-hmm.
So Leo was all in his feelings for this whole match, and Garza was in his head, and ended up pulling out the victory. So anyway. He's pulling his. I guess this is where he turns babyface.
Yeah,
for sure. Like he's thanking the crowd for being there with him, and he's thanking his family for being there with him. He goes to the corner, and I don't know who all is his family, but one lady stands up, and he's like, "Come with me." And of course, he's allowed to pull people through the barricade. Sure.
Yeah.
Takes her in the ring, and he's like, "I'm especially thankful for my girlfriend here, and I don't know if we got her name, but I knew it was coming. I don't know if he did." But he had on a hoodie that he had put on after the match, and he reaches in the pocket, and I'm like, yeah, dude, standard.
Yeah.
Standard. You just won the championship. Now you're going to ask your girlfriend to marry you. That's what happened.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said. He's talking in Spanish.
Yeah, she said yes, let him put the ring on her and everything.
See.
Now here's the problem. I thought he was a ladies' man.
Yeah.
Maybe you could still be.
I think that's probably going to turn into one of the storylines.
Maybe he really doesn't have a girlfriend. This is just some chick that he's proposing to, so they can turn his character in a way that now he has to not be a Don Juan.
Yeah. Or he continues with almost like Latino Heat kind of thing, always trying to not get caught.
Whatever the case may be, this was fun.
Yep.
It was fun. After the match, we get a video package for Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley. Now, this is where we get Shayna Baszler doing her promo, and she starts out the promo inside a garage under a hood, talking about she thinks that the type of car someone drives says a lot about the person. And she drives, and I wrote this down, a 1969 Ford Mustang.
Sweet-looking car.
And she proceeds to say that all these new cats coming into the NXT Full Sail University want to be these awesome Teslas. But she is an embodiment of that car where it's tried and true. When it all comes down to it, she has beaten fucking everybody. She drops a list, and I went back and watched twice so I could get this list because it is fucking impressive.
Yeah.
Since she started her title reign, she has beaten Ember Moon, Dakota Kai, Nikki Cross, Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, and Becky Lynch and Bayley in a triple threat match at Survivor Series in the fucking main event.
Yeah, also figured those are just the big matches. She's also wrestled those other ones like your Tegan Knox and all them. And
you know but
yeah.
Safe to say, though, a lot of times when she's in the ring, she requires the help of Duke and Shafir to get the job done. But for the most part, that was all done by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck. For me, that says less that I'm going to beat Rhea Ripley next week and more that it's time that somebody beat me. Might as well be Rhea Ripley because she needs to go to Raw or SmackDown. She's fucking ready. Mm-hmm. She's being held back by Duke and Shafir, and they can go blow themselves, man. Honestly, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Shafir. They say that one of them has a real natural talent for the ring, but she's still just so green, and every time we see him in the ring, it's always in a tag match or some bullshit, but still, you would think that would protect him a little bit. But even when the last time we saw him as a tag team, they were putting on some moves that looked like they were trying to figure out some moves that were just them as a tag team, as a duo. But it was clunky and it was slow, and it was like, how much time have you really been putting into this? Because you are on NXT.
Yeah.
You are a roster member. And they are holding back Shayna Baszler.
It takes years and like independent promotion after independent promotion lots of years of work of going to these different places to get to NXT.
Which
These two get it pretty much handed
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, okay. So it's going to take years. In the meantime, Shayna Baszler doesn't need to be stuck on NXT for years. And I hate to say it that way, stuck on NXT, but really, when she has won the women's title, been dominant, been the first two-time champion,
Yeah.
and held the title thus far in this reign more days than almost anybody, she's getting up there.
Yeah, but I wasn't saying that. I was saying that Duke and Shafir haven't been wrestling long at all, and they automatically get into the WWE development system.
Yeah,
like that.
so they need to stay in NXT, and they need to put time in their shit. Send them to NXT UK.
Or just drop them at this point.
No, never waste it. But, don't waste the time you've put in. At the very least, from what I hear, one of them is worth saving. But
Probably
they don't
Shafir.
need to be holding her back from going on to another product and doing something else. Because she is holding up the NXT Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to take it off from her until it's time for her to go. Because why would you put it on anybody else?
And this next week for the holiday special will probably be the best time to do it.
So next week we get Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Up next we've got a video promo for Finn Balor. This is concerning the triple threat match we had tonight. There's one thing that I didn't mention. We did get a video promo for Adam Cole at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah.
When they did all of the recap from the highlights from last week to the intro music, Adam Cole they seamlessly blended his promo in there. And he started talking about how it really doesn't matter who wins the triple threat match. He listed out, the month he's had, and he's going to win no matter what. So all they get is a first class ticket to a match with him that they're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So, sorry for forgetting that. But in this case, we've got Finn Balor. And he's talking about both Keith Lee. Oh, so scathing. This was great. He's like, you've been relevant since Survivor Series. What's that? 3 weeks?
It's
Of course, we know, Keith Lee has been awesome for months now. Especially him and Dijakovic.
Yeah.
And then he says, Tommaso Ciampa, he said he beat him once, and he's going to do it again. And he has disgraced the title, calling it Goldie and shit. And I'm just like...
I like the first thing he actually said was just bashing Regal.
Yeah.
He just automatically went into just say it's like how little respect does William Regal have for me to put me in a triple threat match, the longest reigning for, the NXT champion ever, former Universal champion, former two-time Intercontinental champion. And I get put in a triple threat match to prove my worth to going after my old title.
Yeah. But we get the match out of it, so I'm happy.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I'd be happy either way, but after this this is where we get the video replay of Angel Garza proposing to his girlfriend, and then we've got a match. And I forgot to underline the winner. Not that it makes any difference. Raul Mendoza versus Cameron Grimes. So this is off of the back of Cameron Grimes doing the insta finisher on Raul Mendoza when he was coming out to face, I forget who. Kushida. And he lost. And yesterday he comes out during practice or some shit.
At the Performance Center, yeah.
He comes to the locker room, catches Kushida, starts beating up on him and slamming his head into the locker, taking him out temporarily. But this match was... I missed half of it, honestly. I blinked and missed it.
Well, it wasn't really that long of a match. It was very fast-paced, and Raul Mendoza was just on fire the entire time, just going at Cameron Grimes with everything he had in his arsenal, only to be taken out with that flipping slam that.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of flippy, spinny shit.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Cameron Grimes nailed him with that flipping slam thing he does, and that kind of changed the complexion of the match just a little bit. But then we get a visitor on the ramp.
Yeah, who else? He doesn't have to be cleared to wrestle to come down the ramp. Kushida. Kushida comes out, and he's going to exercise his right to distract. And Raul Mendoza ends up hitting a West Coast pop. Now, he doesn't hit it exactly like Ray does, but it's basically the idea. The Rana into the pin.
Yeah.
And gets a 1-2-3 out of it. And it was so weird because they botched the setup for the first one.
Yeah.
It was a pop-up into it. Instead of, I think Ray usually comes off the top rope with it.
Yeah.
And they botched the first pop-up, so he had to send him back into the ropes and do it again. That's what happens when you're on live TV, folks. We learned our lesson the hard way.
Oh, yes, we did.
I've got a few other notes, though. For the most part, there was a lot of flippy spitty shit, and I hate writing down too much of that shit, because for what, it takes, I gotta pause it. Because I'm like, what the fuck do I call that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the Spanish names. If I knew all the Spanish names, it'd probably be real easy, although you guys wouldn't know the fuck I'm talking about. I just sound like a pompous jerk sitting here saying the names of these moves, and you're like, well, what is that? What?
Just naming off stuff off the Mexican menu.
You know what? I could probably do that, and I doubt I'd get away with it, though.
Enchilada called Hero.
Let's see. We see Grimes dodging a slingshot 450 and hits that Spanish power slam, which we call it the Spanish power slam because it's like what somebody does with a Spanish fly, only does it like a crossbody into a power slam. Love that move.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking love that move. That's when Kushida comes out to do the distract, and Rala hits the West Coast pop. And then after, Kushida leaves with Grimes' top hat. He snatches it off the corner, the post.
We talked about this
off.
before the match started. I think if they gave Cameron Grimes a Carnival Barker kind of gimmick, if he were to get called up or anything, that would go over pretty well.
Yeah, I think if he just came out and started every promo with "Ladies and gentlemen" or "Ladies and gents," just be real pumped up.
Or I would just or if he got injured and became a manager and he's introducing his person he's bringing out to the ring, step right up.
But is that Grimes and what we really think Grimes is capable of, or is it just that fucking top hat? I think it's just the top hat.
It's the top hat.
Yeah, so just get rid of the top hat. How about that? And we'll just let Grimes be himself for a little while, and let's see if that gets over before we give him a gimmick.
Sounds like a plan.
Probably won't do it, but anyway.
Nope.
Mendoza with the essentially roll-up victory. We get an interview backstage with Mia Yim because she is facing Dakota Kai tonight. This is retribution, although she kind of got some last week, although it kind of was just them fighting their way through the crowd and outside, and nobody really got the better of the other.
Nope.
So here we go with a match tonight, and she says she's going to go out there and it's just going to be a fight.
And she's going to put her in an ambulance.
Now she says the ambulance, and I'm like, is this an ambulance match? Jerry's like, no. I'm like, well, why'd she say the ambulance?
All right, but knowing what we know now, from watching this match, could we actually see a stretcher match or an ambulance match?
Dude, they're going to go somewhere. Okay, so we're not even to that match yet. Let's hold off on that talk.
All right.
First, we have Jackson Riker coming out with Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, and he is facing... Who could have fucking guessed this?
Why?
How?
Why?
Definitely why, but anyway, Travis Banks. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was getting another bowl of chili. I was in the kitchen.
and you heard the music.
I heard doot 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 doot, and I'm like, you're like, dude, you'll never guess. And I'm like, yeah, I hear. Is that Travis Banks? I actually know his music. Why do I feel ashamed for knowing his music? Travis Banks versus
Jackson Riker.
Yeah, Jackson Riker, who has, as I repeat, both Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake on the outside, and yet Travis Banks, who can't get a fucking win to save his life on NXT UK, he comes over here and out of nowhere just gets a win over Jackson Riker, and not off like some fruit roll-up. He hits the slice of life. Boom. Or is it slice? No,
slice of heaven.
Slice of heaven.
Slice of life's a boat.
Yeah. I recently finished my second trip through Dexter.
Yeah.
So I think that's on my brain. In this case, really short match. I don't think I have... Oh, I do have a cannonball.
Yep.
Banks hits a cannonball, but he hits it into Riker's back while he's in the corner. I wrote it down because I've never seen that before. And then he gets the win. Holy shit. And then he gets out of dodge, and the three of them get in the ring like, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, yeah, you got two guys on the outside. They weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
Now we're on to Mia Yim versus Dakota Kai.
Let me throw this in real quick. The rationale behind that match, seemingly, they said they were hyping it a whole bunch of times. The fact that on January 25th, we're going to be getting Worlds Collide, the NXT UK versus NXT. So they're saying it's like little previews towards it.
I don't think previews are a good idea. This
are.
is probably an unpopular opinion. I don't think these preview matches are a good idea because this is the essence of what you're doing at Worlds Collide.
Yeah.
You are taking NXT versus NXT UK versus 205 Live. Or maybe just NXT versus NXT UK by the time I get around to
Well,
it.
that's what it is now.
Oh.
Yeah. 205 Live's not even incorporated into it. If anything, they're just under the NXT umbrella at this point.
So, why are you giving away the product now?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to be doing the matches, you might as well just do them at the show itself. Otherwise, it takes away from it being special.
If you were going to have NXT UK on NXT television, it shouldn't be in a sanctioned match. They should be there just causing some shit.
Theoretically, Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley would be a Worlds Collide match as well.
Okay, let's get down to Mia Yim versus Dakota Kai. Because I have a lot of notes for a match that I wasn't expecting to be as happy to see.
Yeah.
Honestly, because every time I go into a Mia Yim match, I'm like, it's going to be one way or the other. And if it's good, it's going to be really fucking good. But if it's bad, oh man.
My God, it's awful.
There's so many disappointing levels of bad to a Mia Yim match.
Yeah.
And Dakota Kai isn't one that I'm used to seeing get into the ring with anybody and help put them over and make them look good at the same time. As like, she's good enough to make herself look good, especially in this heel role, loving it.
Yeah.
But I was worried about this match, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. What do you think about it?
For a heel, she wears a lot of white too. But I'm not complaining. She looks good in white.
Holy crap!
But pretty much what we saw the basics out of Mia Yim and everything. But the fact that Dakota Kai got the win, I was happy about that. She needed the win to at least keep the feud going a little bit. Because I knew the second that she got the pinfall on Dakota Kai.
On Mia Yim.
You
said Dakota Kai got the
on Mia Yim. The second she got the pinfall on her, I knew Mia Yim wasn't going to be done, and she'd automatically attack her and it'd be a big brawl afterwards.
Yim gets the upper hand after match.
Yeah.
Plugged to the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So they both look good in separate ways, but I worry so much about Dakota Kai. Okay, I don't want to spoil the very last note because that was like the highlight of the match was after match. But anyway, so I've got a Yim with a cannonball into Kai against the ring steps before the first commercial. Like, we had an entire bunch of a match up to a commercial, and that was my first note because I was just like, I really should put something.
Yeah.
And we've seen this before. I think she's done it to Dakota Kai before. Cannonball into the steps, whatever.
She's done it to everybody.
There it is. Back in the ring, she hits a code blue. That's a sunset bomb. She goes for one, doesn't get it. She has to beat on her a little bit, jumps back up, hits it. You know, same old story. But sexy ass near fall. And look, okay. Let me just say this now. Let me just say this and get it out of the way. Because I'm about to sound like a ridiculous pig. But Dakota Kai was wearing these what the hell just happened? Oh. Anyway, Dakota Kai was wearing these white shorts. And maybe that was my cue to like let it go. Let's just say Dakota Kai is quickly becoming one of my new favorite female wrestlers. Just watch the match, folks. Watch the match. Anyway, after that near fall, we get Yim dodging one of those running boots. Dakota Kai hits the first one, and then hits a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. But then Yim dodges the next attempt and hits a German suplex with a bridge for a near fall. And then Dakota Kai goes to get the knee brace that she carries after destroying Tegan Knox's knee. She went to get it off the corner, but the ref grabs it, and he goes to send it out. But while he's distracted, she takes the cover off the top
quickest
turnbuckle.
I've ever seen anybody do it.
Somebody has hired a Boy Scout to work for the WWE and tie up the buckle they need to be untied really quickly, and just the easiest knot to get out. And she just shreds that bitch, pulls it off, turns around, and I think Yim went for like a rear hold, but then she switched it up and sends her face first into the exposed buckle, hits her with a German with a bridge, gets the 1, 2, 3. But of course she cheated, man, and that pissed Yim off because Yim wanted to either lose, you know, in a fair match 1, 2, 3, or get the victory and get her fucking revenge and comeuppance. So she beats the shit out of her after the match is over. Just throws her around, throws her outside, into the guardrail, over the guardrail, and then into the crowd, up against some fucking railing at the front of the bleachers that are set up. And I think it's where some of the foreign language color commentary talks from.
Yep.
These little makeshift desks. And while Dakota Kai is trying to regain her composure, Mia Yim's setting 2 tables up next to each other and then chases Dakota Kai up. And I'm like, why is Dakota Kai going exactly? But whatever. They get up on those tables.
She's going for the high
bleachers,
ground.
and
So it works well for Anakin.
Mia Yim hits a backdrop onto the first of the 2 tables. I think they needed both because the back of Dakota Kai's head smacked the edge of the second table that didn't move, it didn't break, it didn't crack or flinch, but her head did.
Yep.
And Mia Yim got up, and the first thing that she says was, "Did it look good?" You can clearly, Jerry figured out you can clearly see her say, "Did it look good?" And I don't think it looked good from Dakota Kai's point of view.
Well, I looked it up after, while we were setting up a little bit ago. Dakota Kai did bust her head, and she needed some staples put into it.
There was blood on the floor. It looked to me like she had spit it up, but maybe she did. Maybe she bit her tongue at the same time. Holy fuck. Man.
Yeah.
It looked whiplashy.
Yeah.
So anyway.
We're thinking Dakota Kai may be gone for a little bit.
Maybe or maybe not. If it wasn't a concussion, I think she just heals from the wounds until she can get back in the ring.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take long with just a busted open head. But that was concussion-y too.
Yeah.
Concussy. So after this, we get our video promo for Keith Lee.
Mia Yim's boyfriend.
He gets to talk about the triple threat match a little bit. He says opportunity is all he required.
Yeah.
That's all he needed. He's already been the best, the biggest, strongest.
He just needed a way of showing it.
And
he's gotten it.
He wants both of his opponents, Ciampa and Finn Balor, to remember he is the only one of the 3 of them that can lift up both of the other 2.
Yep.
So we get an intro that at first I'm like, this sounds like a remix on Tommaso Ciampa's intro, because it's got the beeping that the heart rate monitor at a hospital gives you before the flatline. No, because we get 2 sexy nurses. You can tell, like, you can't really see them, but
you
the
see their silhouettes, yeah.
You know they're sexy nurses, and I'm sure that's what those girls went to wrestling school for. They wanted to get out there and be sexy nurses on the stage for Fandango and Tyler Breeze, collectively known as Freezango. Breezango, yeah.
Yes.
Did I say freeze?
Yeah.
Maybe they should freeze. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of these guys trying to find their new gimmick, because I feel like they're so half-assing the attempts.
Yeah. I think that's the whole idea. I think they're going to go through all these gimmicks, but then realize that they're just good being themselves. And
all along, that's all they needed was to be themselves, and I hope what that means is that Johnny Curtis is going to adopt a name that either starts with Johnny or ends with Curtis, and he will have a real name, and we can stop calling him Fandango or Fandango or Fandango. I'm sorry for that, folks. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding. Let's at least talk about the match. We don't even know who are they facing. Who are they facing, guys? Let's just move on. Samir and Sunil, the Singh brothers, and that tells you everything you need to know. Febreze wins.
I was about to say, if anything can be said about this match, it was very, very colorful. Because you had like the Singh brothers in their trademark pink tights, and you had Breezango in their flashy get-ups and whatnot. And it was a great match. Like, there was that one move that you can place a name for out of Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right at the fucking beginning. You saw some, you saw some tag team moves in there that were like, oh, that's a cool tag team move, but it's nothing spirited. It's nothing original. Like, it's like, oh, I'm going to hit you with a leg drop while you're draped over my partner's knees. Ha-ha.
But it's the Breeze knees.
The Breeze knees. Well, that was one thing that we saw off of Fabrizio, but that was Fandango coming off of the apron to the outside over Breeze's knees.
Did you say Fabrizio?
Fabrizio. And that's one of my notes. But the move that we saw from Breeze early on, okay, so the best way I can describe it is like, it's like he's choking the dude with his own arm. Like, the arm's coming across, like this. And he's got his arm. And he pulls him over into a double backstabber.
Yeah.
But, like, sideways. Hard to describe, cool to see, though. So if you want to watch the match, at least for that move, you don't have to put a lot of time into it. It's right there at the beginning. And then you can skip to the end, where we see Fandango come off the top rope with a leg drop after doing that Breeze knees things on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know which one it was. I'm sorry. Their names are super similar too.
Yep.
Let's just say that. Their names are also super similar. Anyway, they beat one of them, but you knew it was going to happen. Any words before we move on?
No.
I didn't think it would take long.
No, it didn't.
We're going to get a video promo here for Rhea Ripley. This is to answer the one with Shayna Baszler. It is about the title match we're going to have next week. Now, it starts with her doing a radio interview. And I like this because it's a softer, more vulnerable side of Rhea Ripley because you can't fake that.
Yeah. She's very... She seems humbled by the whole thing. Like the fact that she's going to be in this world title match and now she's getting all this fame and notoriety is kind of thrust upon her at this point because she's had a hell of a run in NXT UK and now NXT and even on the main roster the past 3 months. So,
well, what I liked about this most is the fact that they are helping her become a babyface in a natural way. It softens her as this badass babyface a little bit, but at the same time, she's coming off of being a hell of a fucking heel on NXT UK,
yeah.
Especially while she was the champ. And this is just one of those things, like, you can't fake the real Rhea that you see when she is on a radio show, because the difference is when she's talking on a mic in front of Full Sail or Raw or Survivor Series or whatever.
She's in character.
Well, that, and she's doing it in front of fans, people that already know what she does, they like the product, they're into WWE and wrestling and shit, like, she doesn't have to worry about any of that shit. On the radio, she's talking to Joe fucking Schmo,
yeah.
who doesn't know anything about wrestling nor care, and I'm not saying she should.
He's like, you have some sort of a match thing going on.
Yeah, I think radio announcers either know enough about it because they've promoted enough of it, or they know enough to fake it.
I just love the show transition, how she was from the first Mae Young Classic that she was in, and then that next year. Well, pretty much she just went really, really dark, really, really quick. But like, it turned into like one of the greatest character shifts, and it seemed like it just was gradual. Everybody just kind of accepted it. It's like, okay, so she was cool in that first one. Now she's legit badass in this one. We're good.
Yeah.
Very Linda Hamilton-ish.
But I like how they did that, because they don't show a lot of outside moments of wrestlers unless it's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation shit. They love that.
Oh yeah.
They'll break kayfabe during a show to show you Roman Reigns hanging out with a kid with cancer, but they don't often show them on the radio just talking like a real person. And I like that they did this. And I gotta admit, a little bit of it's personal, because I feel like the way I compare it in my head would be like if you and I were sat in front of all of our workmates.
Yeah.
Like in the break room when they have one of those big meetings, and what if somebody was like, oh yeah, we heard that a couple of our very own have this podcast they do, and we want to give them a minute to share with you what they do so that maybe you'll help them and join their channel and share it with your friends. If we had to get him up in front of all those people that don't know nothing about nor give two shits about wrestling and have to like it's one thing to talk to an invisible audience that we already know likes the show. I can't imagine just talking to anybody about it, like, because we know wrestling.
Yeah.
And we know it takes a special kind of person to be like, I can forget the fact that it's scripted.
Little Yellow School Bus special.
Because when you watch Seinfeld, it's a little easier to forget that it's scripted, except with the audience clapping every now and then.
Yeah.
But, or when you watch Dexter,
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to forget that it's not scripted, because it's so well done. But wrestling oftentimes is not so well done, and people know this. So I like that. It gives her this vulnerable side that is just real, and it's not like, oh, she's a soft baby face. Let's move on. I can never spend enough time on Rhea Ripley, but sometimes
Yeah.
you can. We've got Caden Carter coming out, and I'm like, who's this going to be against? I'm like, this should be Io Shirai. We should see Io Shirai this week. You're like, nope, Bianca Belair, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We saw with the promo that Bianca Belair was going to be there, and we're getting towards the end of the show, and that means Bianca Belair is going to win this match. Because I don't think they're breaking out Caden Carter with her very first win on the same night that Raul Mendoza gets a win.
Yeah.
They're not doubling up like that.
No.
Bianca Belair is definitely getting the victory here.
But she did put up a hell of a fight and actually did get a little bit of offense, at least on Bianca Belair this time around.
All my notes are Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
Hits a pendulum backbreaker, then picks her back up into a gut buster. Hits a deadlift face buster. Okay. If you don't understand, okay, imagine a frontwards cravat, and she picks her up like that by her head and deadlifts her into the air just to face plant her. Yeah, that is what happened. After that, we get a dodge to that. So I think she was getting a little bit of an offense, Carter was, but she goes for this handspring into an elbow, and Bianca Belair ducks it, and then she hits her with a spear off the ropes, and then hits that KOD, that kiss of death, for the pinfall. It was like a high angle too. When she took her up and brought her down, it was at an angle, so it was wicked looking.
The pin was just great, just sitting on her chest, like, and then just shoves the leg down afterwards. Like, is that all you have?
Not as bad as a Jericho pin, not as cocky, but a little bit cocky.
Yeah,
a little bit cocky.
She looked like she was sitting on a curb waiting for Montez Ford to get out of like KFC or some shit.
So we get Adam Cole come to the ring, and he comes to the ring just so that he can do his entrance where he gets up on the apron, you get the boom, and then I'm sure he got in the ring and he got the Adam Cole baby. And then we went to commercial, but when we came back from commercial, he was where he really ought to. This is where everybody ought to be when they're doing some shit like this. Like, I've got the title, this is the #1 contenders match, and I want to see who wins. So they're going to set him up in the perch, that perch that they built, that first class seating.
Yeah.
That balcony, and that's where he's going to watch the match. But you say, Stefan, we've had a promo from Shayna Baszler and Rhea Ripley to promote the title match next week. And for this triple threat main event, we have seen Keith Lee talk about it. We've seen Finn Balor talk about it. Why does Tommaso Ciampa? Well, nope. Right before the main event, at the least necessary time to air something that is going to get you hyped for the main event, now we get Tommaso Ciampa's video promo. And it was a good one.
He doesn't really say much to it. It's like, I'm going to beat Keith Lee. I'm going to beat Finn Balor.
Yeah, he says nothing's changed, and he's not going to change anything. He's not new like Finn Balor's new.
And he's not like in the moment like Keith Lee is. He's just there.
He's all about Goldie.
Yeah,
he wants Goldie back, and that's what he's doing tonight. He's going to go in that match. He's going to beat both of them, and nothing else matters but Goldie.
Yeah.
And we are on to the main event, folks. Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Finn Balor, triple threat for the #1 contendership for the NXT Championship. Winner faces Adam Cole next week in an NXT Championship match.
Yeah.
One-on-one, probably be the main event. You think the women's title match is going to be the main event of the first hour?
Probably.
Or do you think it's going to open the show?
I would hope they would not open the show with it. Oh my God, that'd almost be an insult, I think.
What if they open the show with I almost gave it away, the NXT Championship match, and they close the show with the main event being the Women's Championship match?
I don't think they'll do that either. I think we're gonna get something special probably for that first match, just to build everything up. But I think Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley will be in the middle of the show, and then we'll get Adam Cole versus Finn Balor as the main.
They're
event.
gonna erect the War Games set without the cage.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have simul main events the NXT Women's Championship and the NXT Men's
I
Championship
don't
at
think
the
there's
same time in the main event at the end of the show.
I don't think there's enough room in Full Sail.
Simulcast. Everybody's screen's going to be double, so when they go to commercial, you're going to have that big screen that's sort of little, that's like half the size with the commercial on it and all the volume, and then you're going to have two tiny little screens up here, each one of them with one half of the... Give it time, folks. People's attention spans are going to get so low that is going to be a thing. I believe within the next 15 years, we will see a simultaneous main event. Two matches happening at the same time, right next to each other. I see it happening. They'll treat it like a fatal four-way, where they'll just trade the spots. They'll be down and they'll do some shit, and then they'll be down and they'll do some shit. I see no problem with this.
No.
So let's get on to the main event. Triple threat match. What do you think?
I thought it was excellent. It was alright. There wasn't really a lot of build up to it since we had the match last week, but at the same time, like the video promos that they did were spot on, and then Ciampa's leading into him going out to the ring. That was great. We saw a lot of the usual, triple threat type things going on. We saw Finn Balor spend a lot of time on the outside of the ring. Like, especially right at the beginning, he got knocked right out of it. But Keith Lee is awesome in pretty much anything he's done. And Tommaso Ciampa actually showed off his strength. He showed off he's actually more healed up than I actually thought he was at one point, because he actually was able to lift up Keith Lee for an air raid crash.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to sneeze at. Granted,
Yeah,
I know Keith Lee probably helped with some assistance in some way.
How? We're talking about just lifting the weight, man. Like, he had all of them.
Lies feather, stiff as the board. Lies feather, stiff as the
Like,
board.
Lee didn't have an arm down, like, on the mat, like, helping him hold him up or nothing. Like, he had all of the weight.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, hats off to Tommaso Ciampa. Jesus Christ.
But Finn Balor, nailing the double stomp off the attempted glory bomb, that was just... I didn't see anything like that since the RKO off the foot stomp at WrestleMania. That was actually that actually looked really cool. So
I have a mess of notes. We got Ciampa with a double draping DDT on both Lee and Balor in the corner. So one on one ropes, one on the other, and he drops them both.
And then he pats himself on the back and claps a lot.
And gets a near fall, I think, out of one and then the other. And then Lee hits a double release northern suplex on both of them. So he gets them both. Like, they're going to do a double DDT on him, but no. He picks them both up and then just drops them.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, like he said, he's the only one in the match that can actually pick them both up. Now, Ciampa can drape them both. But, who can't? Who can't? Probably me. I can't. So, Ciampa and then Finn follow Lee up to the top rope, and they do a tandem Russian leg sweep off the middle turnbuckle. That was sweet. Ciampa hits a draping DDT onto Lee, onto the apron. So reverse. Not going into the ring, going out of the ring. This was during the commercial break. Jerry noticed this.
Yep,
So it's in
out of the corner of my eye, in between Cracker Barrel commercials.
Back from commercials, let's see. Ciampa sets up Balor for an avalanche air raid, but then Lee comes over and picks both of them up, picks Ciampa up into an electric chair, and then drops them both. So you got an electric chair onto Ciampa, who hits the air raid onto fucking Balor.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Ciampa probably got the worst out of that entire deal, because he got sandwiched between the two.
Now, Keith Lee counters a fairy tale ending into a jackhammer, but then goes to jackhammer Balor, who counters it mid-move into a roll-up, and then they get back, it gets a near fall. Then they get back up, and Balor counters a last ride with a double stomp. So, what's it called? The Spirit Bomb.
Yep.
Keith Lee picks him up, and he picks him up too far, and he comes down with the double stomp onto his chest from up there. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And then, let's see. Balor hits a suicida onto Lee, and then drop kicks Ciampa into, basically through the barricade on the outside. Back in the ring, he goes up top and goes to hit Ciampa with the coup de grace, but Ciampa dodges, and Lee pounces Balor just out of the fucking ring. Ciampa hits Lee with an air raid crash. This is what he was talking about. Gets a near fall. And then Lee does a single arm spine buster and then a moonsault onto Ciampa. Gets a near fall. That middle rope moonsault. And then hits a last ride spirit bomb onto Ciampa. But Balor's gotten back up, gone up top. And as soon as he drops him with the power bomb, Balor hits a double stomp coup de grace onto Keith Lee and pins him for the 1-2-3.
Yep.
And
that's our number one contender.
Heel versus heel next week, folks.
Finn Balor, who we met in Toronto.
Finn Balor, who we met in Toronto, folks. Yeah, so I guess we're going to have heel versus heel. This is great. I think it's going to be awesome because this show, not to get too far ahead of myself, but this show I feel like was better than last week. Last week was better than the week before. The week before was a drop-off from a really fucking awesome show.
Yeah.
I think next week is our really fucking awesome show. We've got the women's championship match. We've got the men's championship match. I think that's going to be another one of those 5-star plus main events just because of the awesomeness of the show. At least this is what I'm hoping for. I really hope I don't get disappointed next week. But in the grand scheme of things, this was an awesome main event. I can't wait to review or to rate it. Then we have a slight bit of aftermatch. Adam Cole goes up the ramp or comes out onto the ramp, and he stares down Finn Balor, and then Undisputed Era come out and they stand with him and they stare down Finn Balor, and that's how
they're all doing the UEs, and he's got his fingers just pointed at Adam Cole.
I'm telling you, man, 2 championship matches next week. That's gonna be awesome. In the meantime, that brings us to the end of the main event, and here on What's NXT, we like to rate the main event using the General's 5-star rating system.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, out of 5 stars, where do you rate tonight's main event?
I'm gonna go ahead and say 4.25, but I'm gonna boost it another quarter for it being an awesome show altogether. It wasn't really much else out of a triple threat match that I haven't seen before, and the second I saw Finn Balor get knocked out of the ring again, I'm like, okay, he's going to be winning this match because they're forgetting all about him. And for that to happen, I'm glad Finn Balor won, but now I'm starting to think, what if, like what you said would be the case, what if Finn Balor versus Adam Cole actually opens the show and the match gets thrown out for some reason? So I'm thinking, and maybe into a even bigger main event. Maybe Undisputed Era versus Finn Balor and 3 other people. Maybe the club, the original club. They'll just show up.
So you're going 4.5 after a quarter bump off of a great show. I think you're fucking nuts, man. This match, okay. So it's a triple threat. I'm not a big fan of triple threat tag matches, as in 6-man tag matches, because it's just a cheap way to get a ton of star power into one main event.
Yeah.
A triple threat main event is almost guaranteed to be fun as fuck because the triple threat is designed so that while one person is getting some air, the other 2 can do some shit, and then somebody gets some air, and then those 2 do some shit, and the third person gets some air while the other 2 do some shit. And they delivered on this match and hit a bunch of moves that I've never seen before, a bunch of moves that I am just so glad that I got to sit here and describe to you folks. This match was fucking great. It came with a loaded list of storylines and feuds and shit built in. Just a laundry list of history. And it delivered. It delivered exactly what the main event should have done. The ending was brilliantly done.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily make sense to me to have heel versus heel next week, but what the fuck do I know? It was still brilliantly done. If it had been Ciampa hitting, for some reason, the coup de grace onto Finn Balor and getting the pin there, whatever, or on Keith Lee or whomever. Anyway, I'm going to start the match at 4 3/4, and I'm going to end it on a 5 off the back of a great show. I really enjoyed this match. At no point was I meh. No, I was watching it through the commercials that you could watch it through, shit. So I'm going to land this sumbitch on a 5.
Cool.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of What's NXT. Thank you for joining us. Please join us tomorrow for the NXT party. That's where we review NXT UK. I believe it's episode 74.
I want to say 74.
Might be 73. I can double check real quick. While I'm double checking. Yep, 73.
Yeah.
Reverse of 37.
37.
In a row? Hey, you come back here. Try not to suck any dick on the way through the parking. Okay, anyway, we can run through that all day. For those of you out there is video of me dry humping Jason Mewes on stage. Just saying, if you're a Jay and Silent Bob fan. One of the coolest moments of my life. Until I met Finn Balor on the streets of Toronto. That's up there. It's up there, folks.
That happened. We were there. I seen it.
So, if you'd like to join us on a future episode of the NXT Party and help us review NXT UK, come have a spot of... Normally I'd hold up some tea, but all I got is Gatorade. Speaking of which, I'm parched as fuck.
That was a lot of talking.
Come help us review a future episode of NXT UK. You can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up on Twitter, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can also find the gentleman on Twitter.
At General_JSJ, my Facebook group RMBAR, all capital RMBAR, exclamation point.
Exclamation point! You're not gonna hold me down with some bullshit like that. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Join us there for memes and discussions, whatnot. Don't try to join add us on Facebook.
Shitbomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, find us on Armbar, not on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram too. Now, I have an Instagram at osborne.stefan where I have just a profile picture and I will not clog up your newsfeed. I promote that all the time. But thanks to Colin Andrew, one of our good friends.
Aftermatch has one!
Yeah, Aftermatch Wrestling, the channel, now has its own Instagram page. And he keeps it way busier than I do. He's racked up almost 200 followers, like, in no time. Like, Colin Andrew is amazing. Shout out to Colin Andrew.
Yep.
But anyway, you can find us there now at Aftermatch_Wrestling.
Yep.
You can also find me on Patreon at Stefan R. Osborne, same tag as my Twitter. And if you can help out financially with the channel, help me do things like this great green screen. I know you can't see it, it doesn't look green, but that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to help out and you can Patreon me, then please do. But if you can't do that...
If you're broke as fuck, just subscribe.
Just subscribe. If you've got a few seconds, I know everybody begs for your time, but like, what does it hurt? Because if you subscribe but you never watch, then it's not going to show up on your recommended feed. But if you like the show and you subscribe, it'll tell you when we're on every week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to do that, you do that. If you want to hit the bell, I don't know if we're going to be able to go live anytime soon. We were suffering from lag, and the picture was just not worth it. It might as well have been just a straight voice podcast, and we could do that. It would be a lot easier, but I don't think it would be as cool for the YouTube fans, and that's where
why would you have the green screen if we're
So this is recorded this week. The NXT party will be recorded tomorrow. We will be recording from Hints to the Future until we can figure out how to stream without all the lag. We just want to make the videos better, and the live videos were not better. And we honestly weren't getting a lot of
it was stressing us out.
Viewers, and we weren't good anymore about going back and answering the questions like we said we were going to do. We were failing in every which way, technology and everything was failing, so we were back to recording the videos. And I just wanted to get that out there as an apology, because I know we said we'd go live after 100, and we figured out how to do it, and it wasn't so bad on Aaron's channel. The lag was tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great, but it was tolerable. It was not tolerable on our channel. And we feel like it was making the videos suffer. So we're moving away from that. Is there anything else to plug?
That'd be it.
I think. So, for the General, Jerry Slaughter, I'm the Wizard of No DQ, Stefan Osborne, and thank you for joining us, and we will see you in NXT time.